All right, so it's a little after 6 here in Belfast in the north of Ireland. So I think we're about ready to get started. So I want to start by saying thank you all for joining us today. If you're tuning into this webinar, then it's fairly safe to assume that you're not entirely happy with the results that are being generated from your website, the number of leads that are being generated from your website. So you're in the right place because over the next hour, I'm going to be teaching you how you can double the number of leads from your website. And that's without spending more money on ads or without hiring more people to drive traffic to your website. So as I said, the session itself is going to last about an hour. It's going to be a mix between some theory and some practical. I have scheduled in some time for questions at the end of the session today, but if you have any questions as we proceed through the webinar, please feel free to just drop them into the chat. If I see them at the time, I'll try and answer them there and then, but if I don't see them, I will come back to them at the end of the session during the Q&A portion of the event. I should also say that this webinar is being recorded, so if you can't stick around for the full hour, don't worry. I'll be sending out an email tomorrow, with a link to this recording. So don't worry about that. I also wanted to let you know that we have prepared some exclusive bonuses, basically just to thank you all for joining us on the webinar today. My fear whenever we're putting on these webinars is that nobody turns up. The fact that you guys are all here already, we've nearly got a full house, so I'm absolutely delighted to see that. So we've put together some exclusive bonuses to thank you for turning up today and for saving my embarrassment, really. So yeah, I should probably tell you a little bit about myself, just so you don't think I'm some sort of voice coming to you from across the internet. I am a real person. My name is Kevin McGrath. I'm one of the co-founders here at Beacon. I'm also the CEO of the company. My background is predominantly in design. I studied interaction design at university, and I ran a web design agency for about 6 years here in Ireland. But over the past 5 years, we've sort of made the transition from client services over to a product. So putting all of our time and attention into Beacon. So since we've done that, more and more of my time and energy has been focused on marketing and growth. So I don't do as much designing as I used to. Pretty much all my time now is spent in marketing and developing Beacon. So in that 5 years, we've grown Beacon from basically from 0 users to 27,000 users in 5 years. And I'm really proud of that fact. And in fact, a lot of the sort of techniques and lessons that I'm going to be sharing with you today in this webinar are the same techniques that we use to grow Beacon from nothing into, a product with 27,000 users. So I'm excited to share with you guys what has worked with us over the past few years. But yeah, on with the show. Today, I'm more or less going to be talking about lead generation, but I don't want you to get too fixated on, these marketing terms like lead generation or opt-in forms or lead magnets. Really, what I want to do today is I want to simplify things, because when it comes down to it, marketing is a fairly simple thing. And if we can just remember to keep things simple, I think that has greater benefits for us. Because marketing really, at the end of the day, it's about people. So the world is full of billions of people, and a very small portion of these people are our prospective customers. But at the minute, we don't know these customers and they don't know us. They're essentially strangers to us. So it's marketing's job really to turn strangers into best friends like these guys. Now, of course, in marketing, we don't call it best friends. We call them paying customers. But, it's the same thing, really. We're trying to get to know people. We want them to get to know us. We want them to like us, to trust us. And then eventually, when they trust us enough, they'll become paying customers, or as kids would call it, best friends. So, yeah, the marketing version isn't as exciting as this. We're not going to be dressing up in superhero costumes today. Unfortunately, the marketing version is a bit duller. It looks a bit more like this. It's a marketing funnel. And I'm sure you've all seen this diagram 100 times, but it does a good job of illustrating the point. Whenever we're marketing to people, we essentially want to turn strangers into prospects, and we want to turn prospects into leads. Once they're leads, we can then nurture them to eventually become customers. Now, I'm nearly 100% sure that everyone in the webinar today is using a website as part of their marketing strategy. So if you have a website, then your marketing funnel looks a little bit like this. You want to get people from search engines to visit your website. Once they're on your website, you want to convince them to give you their email address. And once you have, once you have their email address, you can persuade them to become your customers eventually. Now, I think that the section of this funnel that is the most underrated is this section here. It's the process of getting a casual website visitor to give you their email address. And this is so important because once you have a prospective customer's email address, then you're in control. You can initiate contact with that prospective customer whenever you want. I think there was some research done a few years ago, and it said that it takes between 6 and 8 touches for a prospective customer to become a qualified lead. So think about it. If someone comes to your website and you don't get their email address, you have no way of following up with them. So you're essentially relying on them coming back to your website another 6 or 7 times before they're ready to buy. That's a pretty big risk. Like, there's not too many websites out there that you would visit 6 or 7 times. So marketers don't like that risk, really. We want to be in control of that interaction. So we want email addresses so that we can get in touch with customers, nurture them, help them, and hopefully eventually they will become our customers. Now, the good news here is that this gap, see this process of getting email addresses from website visitors, that is completely within the control of us. So whenever someone lands on our website, that's our domain. We can influence all types of things on our website to ensure that we can get an email address from a prospective customer. And I want to just illustrate to you why that's so important. So basically, look at this top portion here, this top equation. If we have 100 visitors to our website and we convince 10% of them to give us their email address, then we'll end up with 10 leads. That makes sense, right? It's simple mathematics. But if you want to grow your business, you're probably thinking, right, I need to double the number of leads that my website generates for me. Now, the most logical thing that people do is they go, right, in order to get more leads, I'm going to have to fill up the top of the funnel. I'm going to have to get twice as many visitors to come to my website. I'll convince 10% of them to give me their email address, and I'll end up with 20 leads. I've doubled my leads. And yes, that's absolutely correct. The math checks out. But the problem with this middle equation, with this yellow equation here, is that a lot of that is out of your control. Let's think about how people come to your website in the first place. They're coming from either like search engines or social networks. But what if one day, what if Google changes their algorithm and all of a sudden the traffic to your website declines because your search listing isn't showing as high up on Google as it used to? That's out of your control. The same can be said for social networks, for example. Recently, Facebook changed their timeline algorithm, and lots of big brands were finding that their posts weren't showing up on people's feeds as often, and the traffic to their websites plummeted overnight. So this option of doubling the number of visitors to your website, it's a really risky proposition to put all your eggs in that basket because so much of it is out of your control. But what is in your control 100% is this middle number, this conversion rate. This all happens on your website, so you're completely free to make adjustments to your site that influence this conversion rate. Let's see how that works out. So again, if we have 100 visitors to our website, if we convince 20% of them to give us their email address, then we'll have 20 leads. The result is the same. We've been able to double the number of leads that our website has generated, but it's much easier to influence this number than it is to influence the 100 number. So I want you to keep that in mind because that's absolutely key to the strategy that we're going to be talking about today. And the mistake, as I said, that most people fall into is they focus on this gap. They're trying to get more people to visit their website. And a lot of the times that could, obviously I said that, a lot of this is out of your control, whether you're dealing with search engines or social networks, but even the parts that are in your control, like spending more money in advertising or spending money on a search engine consultant to get your listings higher up in Google, those can be quite time consuming and quite expensive. But if we focus on this gap, we can start to see results in a very, very short space of time. So this gap basically is when people are on your website. And if we can optimize our websites for conversions, then whenever we do get traffic to our website, we're using that more efficiently. So what I always say is that if you're optimizing your website for traffic before you optimize your website for conversions, you're essentially pouring water into a leaky bucket. The smart strategy is to optimize your website for conversions, and then you can start to spend money on things like traffic, on things like search engine optimization. But there's no point in doing that until your website is primed for email collection. So it's all well and good saying that yes, the conversion rate can be easily influenced, but how can we actually influence the conversion rate of our website to get more email addresses? Well, the obvious thing to do is just ask people for their email address, right? So imagine you land on this website and all of a sudden you get this pop-up that says, sign up for our mailing list, enter your email address and subscribe now. What do you think? What are the odds? Do you think people are going to put their email address in here? I don't think so. I think that the natural reaction to this form is going to be, ugh. I've just visited this website. I haven't had a chance to read any content and you're already asking me for something. Like, I don't know you. I don't trust you. At this stage, I don't even like you. Now that I've seen those pop-ups, there's no chance that I'm giving away an email address. So what most people are going to do is they're just going to click this X button up in the top corner. They're going to close this pop-up and, they might just leave your site altogether as a result. And the reason why this pop-up fails is because there's no incentive for the user to give you their email address. Someone comes to your email address, or if someone comes to your website and you're asking for something without offering anything in return, the result is going to be negative. But if you can offer something that's valuable, something that people actually want, then there's not only a good chance that they'll give you their email address, but they won't think twice about it. It's a fair transaction. It's reciprocal. I'll give you something of value. You give me something, you give me your email address, and everyone's happy at the end of the day. And basically that strategy is what lead magnets are. And again, I don't want to focus too much on terminology like lead magnets. In fact, forget that phrase altogether. Anytime I say lead magnets from now on, I just want you to think that we're giving something of value in exchange for an email address. I have something you want, you have something I want. Let's swap. Something of value for an email address. It's a really simple system that people respond to. Now, I want to show you just a few examples of people that have used this lead magnet strategy with great effect. So this website that I'm showing you now is Amy Porterfield's. Amy teaches people how to run more profitable online courses. So this is the homepage of her website. You can see it looks fairly standard. She's got a nice bright photo at the top. She has a brief introduction about herself. But right below that introduction, she offers 3 different cheat sheets to help her prospective customers. Now, this strategy is so smart, and Amy is brilliant at this. She's been doing it for years. Basically, she knows her prospective customers so well that she knows that her customers pretty much are going to experience one of 3 problems. So either they need help growing their email list, or they need help creating a more profitable course, or they need help creating or choosing a perfect webinar topic. So these are 3 pain points that Amy's prospective customers are experiencing. And Amy has put together 3 cheat sheets that help people to overcome this problem in their lives. So say if I was to choose this box where I want to grow my email list, if I click that box, I get presented with this pop-up. It has a little bit more information about what I'll be getting, what the free download is. And it also asks me for my first name and my email address. Now, the difference between this pop-up box and the one that I showed previously, which is this one, is that this pop-up box is offering something of value to the person that's seeing it. So most people that see this box won't think twice about entering their name and their email address, because Amy has something that I want. She has this downloadable resource that's going to help me to grow my mailing list. Of course, I'm not going to think twice about entering my details. And of course, you need to enter your email address because that's where she's going to send the PDF. It makes perfect sense. People don't mind this technique, this tactic, because they're getting something of value from it. And then once you enter your email address, you get sent this beautifully designed PDF that you can download, that you can keep, and you can refer back to whenever you need to. So that's Amy's example. I also want to show you an example from another website. So this website is backlinko.com. And this is essentially, it's a blog all about search engine optimization. It's run by a guy called Brian Dean. And this screenshot is taken directly from an actual blog post. So Amy's example was on our homepage. This example is from just, a standard everyday blog post. So the post itself is about SEO copywriting. Brian's going to share 17 powerful secrets. But I want to draw your attention just to this yellow box, just underneath the introduction. So the text in this yellow box says, free bonus. Click here to get access to a free PDF checklist that shows you how to execute all 17 of the techniques from this post. The checklist also includes 2 bonus strategies. So what Brian has done here is really clever. So he's written a blog post about 17 copywriting techniques for search engine optimization. And then he's paired that blog post with a free bonus that shows people how to execute on the strategies from this blog post. So if we break that down, if someone comes to this blog post, we know that they're already interested in SEO copywriting. We already know that they're interested in this topic. So what Brian has done is he's made an exclusive resource to help them take the content of this blog post and apply it to their own situation. So it's that same thing. It's that exchange of value. The visitor has a problem. Brian has a solution. And if someone clicks on that yellow box, again, they get a pop-up box, but nobody minds sharing their email address because they're going to receive something of value. And once they do share their email address, they get this beautifully designed checklist that helps them to implement the advice and the tactics from Brian's original blog post. Now, this isn't just, a good strategy because it makes sense. It's a good strategy because it works. This particular lead magnet that Brian used on that blog post, it resulted in an 8 times increase in the number of leads from that blog post. So Brian ran a test. He published this post originally without the lead magnet, and it did okay. But then he published the post again with the lead magnet, and it generated 8 times more leads. So at the start of this webinar, I was talking about how we could double the lead generation from your website, but it's not uncommon to get even better results from that. You can get 8 times more leads from doing something simple like adding a lead magnet to a blog post. I'm just going to take a quick pause there. If anyone has any questions at this stage, please feel free to drop them in the chat. So everyone seems to be ticking along nicely. Not too many questions coming through. Okay, there is a couple of questions, but I'm going to actually be answering them later on in the session. So I will come back to them, so don't worry. Okay, so back to the webinar. So I've shown you how lead magnets can be used in various different circumstances, but what you've probably noticed from seeing both Brian and Amy's strategies is that they are using different types of lead magnet. So Brian was using a checklist, Amy was using cheat sheets and mini guides and things like that. So there are a number of different types of lead magnet. So like the type of lead magnet that you choose is quite important, and it really depends on your own personal audience. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time telling you about the different types of lead magnet so that you can choose the one that's most appropriate for your audience. So the first one that we're going to talk about is a resource guide. Now, a resource guide is just a collection of things that people can buy to improve their situation. It's really simple. So this screenshot on the right-hand side, this is a resource guide that the folks over at Lead Pages created. And basically, this resource guide contains 5 tools that people can buy to improve their Facebook marketing. So it's really simple. Their target audience is marketers. They know that their marketers want to improve their Facebook marketing. So they've put together a collection of 5 tools that they can buy to help them improve. And they've also included a brief description of each tool along with it. Now, this type of lead magnet is really effective because essentially people like buying things that they can use to improve their situation instead of having to do a lot of hard work. It's a bit of a shortcut, really. If I can buy a tool that's going to save me time, save me money in the long run, then I'm going to do that. It's a bit of a shortcut. So people love recommendations for tools that they can buy to get a bit of a jump start. So like these tools could be anything. In this case, it's web apps, but it could also be like books or videos or equipment, depending on your industry. So basically anything that people can buy to help improve their situation is good for a resource guide. The next type of lead magnet that I want to talk about is a checklist. Checklists are some of the most popular lead magnets that we've seen created in Beacon. Essentially, a checklist is just a series of actionable tasks that people can complete to achieve a goal. So the screenshot on the right-hand side is actually from a checklist that we used on our own blog. So this checklist helps people to basically publish more effective blog posts. So the idea is that people print this off, and then whenever they're about to hit publish on their blog post, they just check off this list as they go to make sure that they've included all these items so that their blog post is more effective. So people, like readers, love these checklists because they're quite interactive. It really does help them when they're doing things like publishing a blog post. But also for creators, for us marketers, like a checklist is so easy to create. Like you can have one of them created in 5-10 minutes. They don't take a lot of time and a lot of resources to create. So they're very popular for that reason. The next lead magnet that I'm going to talk about is ebooks. I'm sure you're all familiar with marketing ebooks. I'm sure at some stage or another you've landed on a website and they've offered you an ebook in exchange for your email address. And ebooks are so effective because it allows the creator to put together like a really detailed guide about a particular subject. So if we take this example on this page, it's called The Complete Guide to Email Marketing, and it was the team at ConvertKit put this together. So if you think about email marketing as a subject, like that's such a broad, massive subject. You couldn't possibly cover everything you'd need to in a single blog post. You couldn't even do it in a webinar, like it would just take far too long. So what they did was they compiled all this knowledge about email marketing and they put it all in an ebook. So readers love this because it means that they can download the ebook, they can keep it and refer it back to it whenever they need to. So they don't have to digest all the content at once, rather they can dip in and out of the ebook. And because it goes into such, great detail, it's a cherished resource that they'll hold on to for a while, Another type of lead magnet is a workbook. We're seeing these are becoming more and more popular at the moment. So a workbook is essentially a series of written activities that the reader should complete at their own pace. So in this example, the workbook is it's designed to help people, to help tease information out of people about who their target audience is. So workbooks are really effective If you're speaking to a broad audience and you can't necessarily help them directly with their problem, instead workbooks help you to teach them to tease out basically the strategy from their own point of view and apply it to their own business. So workbooks, again, they're very interactive, and people love them because it's really, people are getting their hands dirty. They're getting down to business and sort of learning through action. Another popular type of lead magnet is the lookbook. So a lookbook is essentially a collection of visual assets like images or videos that are all based around the same topic. So in this example on the right-hand side, this guy has collected basically 37 screenshots of emails that are sent around Christmas time. So his audience is obviously people who make email templates for their marketing. So around the holiday season, lots of brands are going to be sending out emails. The people that make these emails want to ensure that they're visually attractive. So this is a resource that they can download and refer back to whenever they need some inspiration for their next email template design. So it's a really simple type of lead magnet, really, because he's just essentially created 37 screenshots and put them all together in one document. So like a single screenshot on its own isn't very valuable, but 37 screenshots together, that's something that is a valuable resource to his prospective customers. So that's a really great lead magnet. The final example that I want to share with you today is templates. So if you have any like ready to use assets that can help your prospective customer in a particular situation, then give them away for free. Like this example on the right-hand side is from a software company called Groove. So they use a lot of different email scripts whenever they run their business. So because these scripts are repeated throughout time, they just decided to collect all these different templates together and give them to their prospective customers in the hope that they will also use these templates. So they even say it themselves, we've created these templates, these scripts, excuse me, that you can steal. So they're encouraging them to actually copy and paste their content and use it in their own situation. It's really smart because like it's a brilliant shortcut for their prospective customers. Copy and paste these emails. Like you've saved them hours or days of time of writing these emails. So again, really valuable for the prospective customer. So they'll have no problem giving up their email address to get something like this. So I just want to do a quick recap before we go much further. I've already talked today about why it's important to focus on the conversion rate of your website and not just the traffic to your website. We've talked about why lead magnets are the most effective way of increasing the conversion rate of your website. And we've also talked about the different types of lead magnet that you can use that will resonate best with your audience. So now I want to talk about how you can implement this lead magnet strategy for your own business. So we saw in the examples that Amy offered lead magnets on our homepage, on our main website. Brian offered a lead magnet in an individual blog post. And I'm sure you've seen landing pages that offer lead magnets as well, dedicated pages just for that lead magnet. So the question is, which one of these options should you use? And the answer is, you should be using all of them. I know what you're thinking. That seems like a lot of work. If I'm basically telling you that you're going to have a lead magnet on your main website, you're going to have multiple lead magnets on your blog. You're going to have to create landing pages with lead magnets. And yes, that is what I'm saying. But no, it's not as much work as it sounds. And I want to really be clear about why you need to use multiple lead magnets in your strategy. And it's basically quite simple. If you have more opt-in forms on your website, you're going to generate more leads. If you give people more opportunity for them to give you their email address, they're more likely to actually give you that email address. And this isn't just me making this up. HubSpot did some research into this, and they said that there was a 450% increase in leads when people made 40 opt-in forms instead of just one. So if you can give people 40 times more opportunity to hand over their email address, it's going to reap those rewards. You're going to get more email addresses. But in reality, in the real world, more opt-in forms does equal more lead magnets, because we don't want to be that guy that's just, just asking for email addresses and not offering anything of value in exchange. If you're asking for an email address, then you need to pair it with a lead magnet. And that is the truth of it. And again, you're thinking, ugh, this guy got me on this webinar just to give me more work, essentially. Like, who has time to create like 30, 40 lead magnets, pair them with blog posts, make landing pages? And I hear you, I do hear you. And it's not as difficult as it sounds. And thankfully, Beacon can help with that. And that's what I want to talk about in the practical session now of this webinar. I'm going to show you how in Beacon we can utilize Beacon more efficiently to save time so that we can create more lead magnets more efficiently. So I'm going to show you how we can set up our brand colors within Beacon so that we can customize the default templates really quickly. I want to show you how we can create a reusable content library, so you can just drop pages of content into any lead magnet and keep reusing them. And I'm also going to show you how we can create reusable templates, so that you only need to set up your brand styles once and then just drop in your content whenever you need to. So bear with me just while I get Beacon set up here. Okay, so let me know if you can see, you should see Beacon now on your screen. If you could just let me know in the chat box, can you all see the Beacon editor in your screen? Just go ahead and let me know in the chat if you can see the Beacon editor. We've got the page on the right-hand side. We've got some text on the right-hand side. Yes, okay, we've got confirmation. You can all see it. Perfect. Okay, so this is the Beacon editor. This is the main interface, and I'm sure you've all become familiar with this. I know some of you will have more experience with this than others. And this document that's loaded up in the editor is essentially, it's a workbook. So it consists of a cover page. We have a brief introduction. We have a worksheet, another worksheet, a third worksheet, a fourth worksheet, and a call to action at the end. So as you can see, the sort of the default colors and the default style of this brand, of this document, is all purple. We've got a purple background image, purple text, a purple button. But if you load up this template and your brand isn't purple, then the template's going to look a bit weird. It's not really suitable for your company or your audience. And if we even look through like the number of elements in this document that we would have to change, so we'd have to change like this background shade of purple. We'd have to change this headline, this button. We'd have to change, that title text there, all these boxes, the boxes here, the title there, more boxes, the introduction text. And the cover page, the headline as well. So your instinct is probably like to go through each one of those elements individually and change it to the color that you need. So like you would click on this, you would change the text color here, and you'd have to do that, 30 or 40 times throughout the book, which is going to take you an easy 15, 20 minutes just to get the book set up with your brand colors. So that's too long. If we're going to have to create lots of lead magnets, we can't spend 15 minutes on that basic setup. So the trick that I'm going to show you is to go into this fourth button on the left-hand side, this document settings button. And you'll see under this default styles section here, this might be collapsed. So if it's collapsed on your version, just click it and it'll open up. You'll see that we have these template color options. So these template colors are basically the colors that are used within the document for things like this headline. So if I change this template color 4 to our own brand color, you'll see that the headline has changed color, so that's brilliant. But more than that, every headline throughout the book has also changed color. So instead of having to do that, oh, that one didn't change. Instead of having to do this, 5-10 times on every page, you only need to change the template color once and it'll populate throughout the book as we go. Now you'll notice that some of the other colors are still the purple. So this background shading, for example, that is still the purple, but I know that that is using template color 2 because it's this slightly off shade of purple. So again, I'm just going to change that to be our own shade of green, and that's updated. So if we cycle through the book, we'll notice that there's still a few things that are purple. So it's these boxes, the button text. So again, I'm just going to change this last template color to be our shade of green. And there you have it. Everything in the book now has the proper shade of green as it should be. So what would have taken us like 15-20 minutes to go through the book and do all of these headlines and boxes individually has really just taken us, 30 seconds, a minute, by using the default styles and the template colors here. So that's the first time-saving trick that I wanted to show you today. And I think it's definitely one of the most underrated tools within Beacon that people just aren't using as much as they should be. So definitely check that one out. And let me just save my progress here. The next trick that I want to show you is how we can convert individual pages into templates so that we can use them in different lead magnets. So this lead magnet, it has all these pages. So it has a cover page, it has an introduction, it has all the worksheet pages, and it has a call to action. But what I would always recommend you do is add in like an about the author page into every lead magnet that you create. I think it's great to give your readers some context about who created this lead magnet and why. So let's go ahead and we're going to create an about the author page. So let's click this yellow button. I'm going to look for a text page. I want something that's fairly simple. I think I'll go for this 2-column layout. So I'm just going to select that. So it's added the 2-column page. We can see that our headline is already this green because we've set up the default styles. That's perfect. So let's just change that to about the author. And I'll just write a bit about me. My name is Kevin. So just put something briefly in there. Let's also add an image because it's always nice to show who people are speaking to. So if we add an image, we're going to change an image. I've already uploaded an image of myself before, so I'm just going to browse my own saved images. I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and that's a photo of me. So we're going to add that. Just going to add an extra wee space there to give it a bit of room. And I'm going to customize this text. I'm not going to spend too much time typing here. I don't want to bore you all to death. I'm just going to copy and paste that. You get the idea. You would put in more information about yourself there. And I think I also want to add more information about like my social media profiles. So I'm going to add a strip at the bottom. So you can see that we can drag content into the strip. But first of all, I'm going to set the background color of this strip so it stands out. You notice that whenever I open up this color swatch, I have these 4 options at the bottom. These are my 4 brand colors that I set up. So brand color 1, brand color 2, color 3, and color 4. So I can just select from there. So I don't need to keep remembering the different color codes. Let's close this. Then I'm going to add a headline, and I'm going to add some text in here too. So I'm going to change the color of the headline. I'm going to use my white brand color. And I'm going to change that text to say like social media profiles. Then I'm going to add in the profile information. So it'll be things like Twitter link, Facebook link, Instagram link. And yeah, I'm going through this quite quickly because I want to show you the the sort of time-saving tips and tricks rather than the actual nuts and bolts of creating a page. Let me just change that text color to white. I should use my brand color. Sorry, I'll do that. Then if I close that. So this is a fairly standard about the author page. So I could, in theory, use this page in another lead magnet. So every time I make a lead magnet, I'm going to include an about the author page, but I don't necessarily want to have to go through all those customizations again. You know, I've made this page now, it looks good. So let's just convert this page into a template so that we can use it again at a later date. So the way that you do that is you go into this third option on the left-hand side, page settings, and see this yellow button, convert this page into a template. Just click that button and you'll be able to give this template a name. I'm going to call it just about the author, Kevin. So once we save that, we can see that our template has been created. I'm just going to save my progress and refresh the page. And then whenever I go back in to add a new page now, I'm going to have the option right at the bottom to, instead of using one of Beacon's default templates, I'm just going to use this template that we've made, which is perfect. It just drops in exactly as it was before. And that really essentially saves you a lot of time and a lot of energy. We can drop that page into any lead magnet that we make from now on. And again, if I needed to customize that for a different member of staff or a different colleague, I could absolutely do that. That's time-saving trick number 2. Create your custom pages into templates so that you can reuse them in any document. I'll save process again. Now, the final trick that I want to show you is how you can convert an entire document into a reusable template. So we've already customized this workbook and it looks good. It has our colors in it. Everything's looking as it should. So I don't necessarily think that we need to repeat that work every time. So let's just create like essentially a shell of a lead magnet that we can reuse and then populate with different types of content for a future lead magnet. So say if we wanted to make like a checklist next time, like we're not going to need all these worksheet pages. So let's just delete them. Going to delete that and that one too. That one as well. We're going to keep the call to action. I think that it's important to include a call to action in every lead magnet. We're going to keep the about the author page. So I'm just going to rename that. About the author. Perfect. And I'm going to move that above the introduction. So now if I cycle through these pages, we have pretty much like a reusable shell that would work for any lead magnet. So I could put in I can change the introduction text for each lead magnet. I can change the author if I need to for each lead magnet. And I can change the call to action text. But the design, the actual structure of the lead magnet is good. So let's just save that. And then let's convert this document into a template. So again, I'm going into the document settings section, which is the fourth page, the fourth button down on the left-hand side. And this option at the bottom, convert this document into a template. Let's just click convert. We're going to give this template a name. Just going to call it lead magnet outline. And I'm going to click save. So if we close that, and I'll just make a quick save. So now the next time that we're in Beacon and say we wanted to create a checklist instead of like a workbook, we would just go to click Create New. I would select this option, and don't worry about which lead magnet format to pick just yet. I could pick any one of these. So let's say it's a checklist. We're not going to import content. And now when we're asked to choose a theme, you'll see that down at the bottom, we have this theme that we just created, this lead magnet outline. So this is my default theme from now on. I'm just going to select that. As you can see, it's already set up with all our brand colors, has our introduction page, our about the author page, and a call to action. So now I can just add whatever extra pages I need. So for example, if I need a checklist, let's just drop a checklist in. It already takes in our brand colors. Maybe I want to add an email template in this as well. Let's just drop that in. It's already using our brand colors as well. So all we have to do is customize the text. At this stage, we don't have to worry about the design at all. So those are 3 time-saving tricks that mean that you can save more time when creating lead magnets, so that ultimately you can create more lead magnets, so there are more opt-in opportunities on your website and you can generate more leads from your site. So that is the end of the practical session. I should just point out that those 3 features that I just showed you, so setting up brand colors, creating the reusable content library and the reusable template, some of those are premium features. They're only available on our paid accounts. So the premium features are essentially converting pages into a template and converting a document into a template. So if you want to use those features, and I definitely recommend that you do, they will save you an awful lot of time, you should upgrade to one of our paid plans. But to help you out with that, I did promise some exclusive bonuses at the beginning of the webinar. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about them and how you can get these bonuses. So we've put together this pack. We've put together a collection. It's a lead magnet learning pack. And it's essentially a swipe file of 18 lead magnets that we have used here at Beacon to help us grow the company to 27,000 users. So let me just give you a quick preview of what that learning pack looks like. So this is one of the lead magnets, one of 18 lead magnets in the learning pack. So as you can see, they're all very nicely designed. They all have great content in them, and you can use these as inspiration for creating your own lead magnets. So you'll see the different strategies that we've used for, like, this is a checklist example. Also, this is what we would call like it's not a resource guide. It's more of like a mini guide to show you how that you can tweak your lead magnets landing page with these tips. So basically, it's a set of 18 lead magnets that you can use for inspiration when you're creating your own lead magnets. So that's one of our exclusive bonuses today. Another one of our exclusive bonuses is that we sat down and we spoke with Laura Roeder. So we spent about an hour speaking to Laura about how she grew her business. So she's the founder of Meet Edgar. It's a social media scheduling product. And basically, we go into detail in this interview about how Laura grew Edgar from 0 all the way up to a 7-figure business. I think the last time I checked, these guys are doing about $5 million in revenue. So in this interview that we did with Laura, she goes into details about how she was able to achieve such massive growth in such a short space of time. So there's a lot of tips and tricks in here directly from Laura about how to grow your email list, how to market more effectively to that email list. So I'd highly recommend checking this out. And as well, the third exclusive bonus that I want to offer you guys is that I'm going to offer anyone who upgrades to a paid plan and gets this exclusive bonuses is I will personally design a Beacon template for your business. So you'll have noticed that whenever you use a template in Beacon, they've all been designed by me. So instead of just using one of our generic templates, I'm going to design one of these custom for you. It will be available exclusively in your account. We won't be sharing it with any of our other customers, and it will just be for you. So we'll probably spend a couple of days working directly with you to design this template to make sure that it suits the needs of your business. I'll design this template myself. You'll have an opportunity to give feedback and make revisions to the design of the template. And then once you're happy with everything, we'll make that available in your account. And actually so the template design service basically means that you can skip like setting up brand colors and creating the reusable template. So if you upgrade to a paid account today and you get our exclusive bonuses, I'm going to be taking care of these two steps. I'm going to be setting up your brand colors for you. I'm going to be creating your own reusable template for you. So the exclusive bonuses are the lead magnet learning pack. So it's 18 lead magnets that we have used on Beacon to help grow our business to 27,000 users. We have an expert interview with Laura Roeder, who shares the secrets of her success, how she grew Edgar from a product with 0 users to it's now doing over $4 million in annual revenue. And I'll also spend a few days of my time designing you an exclusive template for use in your account. So it's about 2 days worth of my time, which when we ran the agency, we used to charge about $500 a day. So this template design is worth about $1,000 once we do that for you. So all of these exclusive bonuses are completely free to you when you upgrade to a paid plan. So in order to upgrade to a paid plan, if you just log into your Beacon account, you'll notice that there's an upgrade button right in the top right-hand corner. So if you click that button, you'll see this screen. And if you choose either of these options, basically to pay yearly or pay monthly for either a $49 per month plan or a $99 per month plan, we'll be able to give you all of those exclusive bonuses. Now, these bonuses are only available to participants on this webinar, and these bonuses are only going to be available for the next 24 hours. So if you upgrade your account within the next 24 hours, then we can arrange for these bonuses to be sent to you. So you're going to have the interview with Laura Roeder, the swipe file of 18 lead magnets that we have used to grow our business, and as well, I'm going to design a template exclusively for your business. So if you go ahead and upgrade, we'll send all those things through to you. So I feel like I have done an awful lot of talking. So now is a good chance for any of you guys to ask any questions that you might have. Anything about the strategy or tactics or techniques that we went through in this program or in this webinar. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat panel and I'll be happy to answer them. So I went through some of that practical stuff within Beacon quite quickly. So if you want me to go over any of that again, just let me know. If there's any parts that weren't clear at all, just let me know in the chat and I'll be able to go over them in a bit more detail for you. Okay, so we have some chats or some questions from earlier in the session. So let me see, we had Mark wanted to know about this strategy that Brian was using. Yeah, so Mark is asking, is it better to have the call to action for your lead magnet in like an inline box like this, or is it better to have the actual opt-in form that's asking for people's email addresses directly in the blog post? It's a good question, and I would always say that don't put the form directly on the web page. Basically, when people see opt-in forms, they just blank over them. They totally ignore them. So you're better off using what's known as like I think it's like a 2-click trigger. So someone clicks a button. In this case, it's this yellow box, and then they get the actual form, like the actual input box to put in their email address. So by the time they've clicked on the yellow box, they've already really committed. So the chances are once they open this box, they'll put in their email address. But if you had to just put this input form directly in the blog post, people would have just scanned over it. They would have just ignored it completely. So yeah, definitely use the 2-click trigger is a more effective way of getting people to enter their email address. So let me know, does anyone else have any questions? Now that you've got me live and in person, would be a good time to ask any questions, whether it's about using Beacon or about using lead magnets in your own strategy. Any questions are good, so just send them on through. Okay, so we've got one, sorry, from Winifred. I missed that one. How do you use Beacon in an existing website? Yeah, so this is a great question. So the best way to do it, let me open up Beacon again. I can just find my mouse. Ooh. Okay, so open up Beacon. So you'll see that whenever you go on to your the homepage of your Beacon dashboard, you're going to see this. You're going to see a list of all of your lead magnets. If you click this share button for any of them, you'll notice that you get 3 options. So you can get the share link, you can download it. But what you want to do, Winifred, is to enable the lead capture. So if you just click enable lead capture, you'll have an option to set up a trigger. Basically, it's like what Brian was using in his example. So it's this yellow box. You can customize the text in it. You can customize the text in the pop-up. You can connect with your with MailChimp, with your email provider. And then essentially, once you get to this second last step, this embed step, you essentially just copy this code and paste it into your own website. So whenever someone comes to your website, they'll see this trigger. And then once they click the trigger, they'll get this pop-up and they can go through that process that both Brian and Amy used. So yeah, just to recap, you go to your Beacon dashboard, you click the share link for the relevant lead magnet, and then you can create your own sort of trigger with pop-up form and connect it to your email address and everything else. So that's that. Hopefully that answered your question, Winifred. Let me know, folks, if you've any more questions. I'm very happy to answer them. I know we're getting, I said the session would last about an hour. We're coming up on the hour mark now. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If you don't have any questions, then we're probably going to wrap up in the next minute or two. Okay, it looks like everyone is happy enough with their no more questions to come. Okay, guys, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys have had some fun and maybe learned some stuff as well. For now, I'm going to end this broadcast, but keep an eye out for my email tomorrow, where I'll be sending the link through to this recording so you can share back, or so you can refer back to it at a later date. Thanks now. Bye.